Hello everyone, and welcome to the patch 7.3 Balanced Druid Guide. Now today we're going to go over talent points and rotation, and in more upcoming videos we'll get more in depth on gear and legendary choices. So for your single target talent build, what you should be picking up is something like what you see here on the screen. So pick up Starlord because it gives haste. You can use either Wild Charge or Displacer Beast. I prefer to use Wild Charge since it has a smaller cooldown. For the third point, you can also pick your affinity. If you ever feel the need to be a backup tank, then you can pick up that affinity. However, I choose to pick Resto affinity, and that's only because it's passive. Everybody just kind of gets healed, I get healed. It just kind of happens as the fight goes on without me having to do anything else. Number 4, you can either pick up Typhoon or Mighty Bash. Mighty Bash of course being single target, and Typhoon hitting as many targets as there are in front of you. Number 5, you should be picking up Incarnation Chosen of Elune. This is a big DPS cooldown. For the next point, you should either be picking up Blessing of the Ancients because it's static and predictable, or Shooting Stars, which is also good but can lead to periods of bad RNG. I personally prefer Blessing of the Ancients just because it is predictable and I know exactly what I'm going to be getting every time I cast. And for the last talent point, you should be picking up Nature's Balance because it guarantees your dot uptime on Moonfire and Sunfire. Now if you are doing an AoE talent build either for Mythic Plus or for a boss fight that has a lot of ads, you should be changing the last 3 points. So for the 5th talent point, you should be picking up Soul of the Forest, which means you use less astral power to cast Starfall. For talent number 6, you should be picking up Shooting Stars because the proc becomes really good the more targets you have with Sunfire and Moonfire on them. And for the last talent point, you should also pick up Stellar Drift. It increases your AoE damage, the radius, and it allows you to move while casting as well. Stellar Drift should also be picked up over Nature's Balance on high mobility fights, even if there's not too much AoE damage, just because of that increased mobility. Now as far as gear secondary stats are concerned, with the current tier, you should be picking up Mastery first and then Haste. Crit and Versatility are more of an afterthought, but Mastery and Haste are going to be your most valuable stats, as well as having the added bonus of making your DPS predictable and not spiky. Now for your rotation, there is a bit of a priority system here, so let's go over that. When you open up your rotation, you should open up by applying both of your dots on the target. Now this means applying both Moonfire and Sunfire on the target. You should aim for 100% uptime on these dots. Next thing you should do is check to see if you have any charges of your moon spell, whether it's full moon, half moon, whatever it is, you should use up all of the charges you have of that spell. Next, you're going to use all of your astral power on Star Surge. After that, your next priority is to cast Empowered Solar Wraths or Lunar Strikes. And the very last thing on this list is if you don't have enough astral power for a Star Surge or any Empowered Lunar Wraths and Lunar Strikes, then you are going to be casting Solar Wraths to pad out your rotation to get you the astral power. So once we're done with this rotation, what we do is start at number 1 again. So once you've already completed 1 full rotation of astral power and casting empowered hits, you're going to go back and check your dots to make sure that they're up. If they are, then that's good. If they're not, reapply them. Next thing again is to check your charges of your moon spell. If you have any charges, use those, and then use your astral power and cast empowered spells. And this is the rotation you're going to be going in. As far as when to use your DPS cooldowns, like your Incarnation, you should be using your DPS cooldowns on moments of the fight that require less movement. The more you move, the less time you're going to be able to spend casting, so use your DPS cooldowns when you know you can stand in place for about 20 seconds. Now, as part of our priority rotation system, the biggest things to avoid is to avoid having your dots fall off the target, avoid having all 3 charges of your moon spell and not using any of those charges, and avoid casting unempowered Lunar Strikes. If you need to generate more astral power and your moon charges are gone, you need to cast Solar Wrath. Casting unempowered Lunar Strikes is going to lead to a big DPS decrease. Now that covers these basics. Following this series, we'll go over gear, legendaries, and break things down a lot more. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, good luck out there.